December 12, 1944, 3rd Army Headquarters, Luxembourg. Colonel Oscar Koch walks into Patton's office with a report. General, the Germans are going to attack soon, probably within the week. Every other Allied intelligence officer says the opposite. The Germans are finished, incapable of major offensive operations. Koch reads Koch's assessment, looks up, and says, "I believe you." 4 days later, the Battle of the Bulge explodes. Hitler's last desperate offensive smashes through American lines. Koch was right. Everyone else was wrong. But you've never heard of Oscar Koch. That wasn't an accident. This is the story of the intelligence officer who saw what others missed and why his own general kept him hidden. Oscar Koch wasn't a typical Army intelligence officer. Most G2s came from privileged backgrounds. West Point, old money, social connections. Koch, born in Milwaukee to German immigrant parents, worked his way through college, joined the Army Reserve, and made captain before Pearl Harbor through competence, not connections. When Patton took command of 2 Corps in North Africa after Kasserine Pass, he needed an intelligence chief who could actually do the job, not someone who wrote pretty reports, someone who could predict what the enemy would do next. He chose Koch. March 1943, El Ghoutar, Tunisia. Koch's first major test. German forces under Rommel are somewhere in the desert. Standard intelligence estimates suggest they'll attack from the north. Koch studies patterns, German radio traffic, unit movements, terrain analysis. He tells Patton they're coming from the southeast tomorrow morning, in strength. His analysis contradicts British intelligence. It contradicts 2 Corps' own staff estimates. Patton asks, "How sure are you?" Koch doesn't hedge. "Very sure, sir." Patton deploys based on Koch's assessment. Dawn, March 23rd, German armor attacks from the southeast, exactly as Koch predicted. American forces are positioned perfectly. The German assault fails. Patton's confidence in Koch becomes absolute. But here's what matters. Koch didn't just guess correctly. He developed a system. While other intelligence officers relied on captured documents and prisoner interrogations, information that was often days old, Koch tracked patterns in real time. Radio intercepts showing unit locations, traffic analysis revealing headquarters movements, terrain studies predicting likely attack routes. He built a picture of enemy intentions before the enemy fully formed them. Sicily, July 1943. Koch predicts where German forces will establish defensive lines, which towns they'll defend, where they'll retreat. His accuracy becomes unsettling. It's like he's reading German battle plans. In reality, he's reading German behavior patterns of movement, command decision cycles, doctrinal preferences. Other intelligence officers produce reports. Koch produces predictions, and he's right, constantly, almost eerily right. By late 1943, Koch has established himself as one of the best intelligence officers in the European theater. So why didn't anyone outside 3rd Army know his name? Summer 1944. 3rd Army races across France. Koch's intelligence shop operates at a tempo other G2 sections can't match. Updates every 6 hours. Predictions about German positions that prove accurate within hours. Higher headquarters, Bradley's 12th Army Group, Eisenhower's SHAEF, start requesting Koch's assessments. They want to know, how is 3rd Army's intelligence so accurate? Patton faces a choice. He could share Koch's methods, make him available to other commands, let him brief senior Allied leadership. Instead, Patton restricts Koch's reports to 3rd Army only. When Bradley's intelligence chief requests a meeting to discuss methodology, Patton politely declines. When SHAEF suggests Koch should present at an Allied intelligence conference, Patton finds reasons he's unavailable.
Koch stays inside 3rd Army headquarters. His reports stay internal. His predictions remain 3rd Army's advantage. Why? 3 reasons, each more calculating than the last. First, operational security. Koch's accuracy depended on German forces not knowing how 3rd Army gathered intelligence. If his methods spread, more officers would know the techniques, more chances for leaks, and if the Germans discovered how 3rd Army predicted their movements, they'd change their patterns. Koch's value depended on the Germans not knowing someone was reading their behavior. Patton kept him hidden to keep him effective. Second, competitive advantage. Patton was in constant competition with other Allied generals, Montgomery, Bradley, even other American Army commanders. If Third Army consistently moved faster and hit harder, Patton's reputation grew. Part of that speed came from intelligence. Koch told Patton where German forces were weak before other armies even knew those weaknesses existed. That gave Third Army first-mover advantage. If Patton shared Koch's intelligence freely, he'd lose that edge. So, Koch stayed in the shadows. Third, command authority. This is the most important reason, and the one Patton never stated publicly. Intelligence officers who become too prominent can threaten command authority. If Koch became famous for predicting enemy moves, people might start thinking he was the reason Third Army succeeded. Maybe Patton just followed Koch's advice. That would undermine everything Patton worked to build, his image as an instinctive, aggressive commander who won through battlefield genius. Patton needed Koch's intelligence, but he also needed the world to believe Third Army's victories came from Patton's leadership, not Koch's analysis. So, Koch stayed behind the curtain, anonymous, essential, invisible. November 1944. Allied command is optimistic. Germany is beaten. The war might end by Christmas. Intelligence estimates across Allied armies agree the Germans lack strength for a major offensive, except Koch. He's watching something disturbing. German units disappearing from the line, radio silence from sectors that should be active, new divisions identified, but locations unknown. November 25th, Koch files a report. German forces are massing, location uncertain, intentions unclear, but the pattern suggests preparation for offensive action. Third Army staff is skeptical. The Germans are finished. They're moving units to defend against us. Koch insists the movement patterns don't match defensive redeployment. This looks offensive. December 9th, Koch updates his assessment. Now he's more specific. Germans are concentrating opposite 8th Corps, the quiet part of the Allied line in the Ardennes. He estimates German strength at 16 to 18 divisions, preparing for attack within 10 days. Patton reads it and believes it. He asks, if they attack, can we pivot north to counter? Koch already has the analysis ready. Yes, sir, I've identified 3 routes. We can move 3 divisions within 48 to 72 hours. Patton tells his staff, start contingency planning. He trusts Koch. Meanwhile, Bradley's 12th Army Group dismisses the warnings. Their intelligence chief produces his own assessment. The Germans lack fuel, ammunition, and reserves for major offensive operations. Any attack would be limited, a spoiling action at most. SHAEF agrees, no threat of a major German offensive. December 12th, Koch files his most urgent warning yet. German attack imminent, probably within 3 to 5 days. Strength estimated at 20-plus divisions. Objective likely drive west to split Allied armies and seize Antwerp. The report goes to Bradley's headquarters. They file it, they don't distribute it. They don't act on it because it contradicts almost every other intelligence assessment in the European theater. December 16th, 5:30 a.m., the Battle of the Bulge begins. 28 German divisions attack through the Ardennes, exactly where Koch said they would, almost exactly when he said they would. Allied command is shocked. How did the Germans mass this force without detection? Patton isn't shocked at all. He's already moving because Koch predicted it and Patton listened. December 19th, 1944, Verdun. Eisenhower calls an emergency conference. The situation is desperate. Who can relieve Bastogne? Patton answers, December 22nd, 3 divisions. The room is skeptical. Pivoting an entire army in 3 days through winter terrain? Impossible. But Patton already has the orders drafted because Koch predicted the scenario weeks earlier. Third Army attacks on schedule, breaks through to Bastogne, and saves the encircled paratroopers. Everyone calls it a miracle of improvisation.
It wasn't improvisation. It was preparation based on intelligence. Koch saw the offensive coming. Patton believed him. They planned accordingly. After the Bulge, Bradley's people want answers. How did Third Army know? Koch walks them through the analysis: radio traffic patterns, unit disappearances, fuel stockpiling indicators.
The officers listening realized he was reading signals everyone else dismissed as noise. Did this lead to fame, awards, a promotion to higher headquarters? No, because Koch's value wasn't teaching other intelligence officers how to do their jobs better. His value was giving Third Army advantages other armies didn't have. After the war, analysts studied the Bulge intelligence failure. How did the Germans achieve complete surprise? They didn't achieve complete surprise. One intelligence officer saw it coming, but he worked for Patton, and Patton kept him hidden. Oscar Koch ended World War II as a Colonel G2 of Third Army, the same position he held since North Africa. Other intelligence officers who were wrong about the Bulge, wrong about German capabilities, wrong repeatedly, received promotions, high-level assignments, public recognition. Koch stayed in the shadows. He wrote the official Third Army intelligence history, one of the most detailed intelligence accounts of any American army in World War II. Almost nobody read it. He received the Legion of Merit, the Distinguished Service Medal, appropriate recognition for staff work, but his name never became associated with the victories he enabled. That was intentional. That was the deal. Patton needed Koch's intelligence, but he also needed credit for Third Army's success to flow to Patton. Koch understood this. He never publicly complained. He never sought the spotlight.
But here's the question. Was Patton right to keep Koch hidden? From Patton's perspective, absolutely. Koch's anonymity protected his methods, maintained Third Army's intelligence advantage, and preserved command authority. From a broader perspective, maybe not. If Koch's methods had been shared across Allied forces, could other armies have predicted the Bulge? Could thousands of casualties have been prevented? We'll never know. What we do know is this. Koch was right when everyone else was wrong, and the only general who listened to him was the one who kept him in the shadows. History remembers Patton as an instinctive genius, a commander who sensed enemy intentions and moved faster than anyone else. Some of that is true, but part of Patton's instinct was intelligence, Oscar Koch's intelligence. Koch saw patterns other officers missed, predicted German movements with unsettling accuracy, and gave Patton the information that made decisions look like genius. And Patton made sure nobody knew. Not only because he wanted the credit, though that was part of it, but because Koch's effectiveness depended on staying invisible. The best intelligence officers operate in shadows. They enable victories that look like miracles. Oscar Koch did all of that, and history barely remembers his name. That wasn't failure, that was the job. Intelligence officers don't get statues, they don't get movies, they don't get headlines. They get to be right quietly, decisively, without recognition. Koch predicted the Battle of the Bulge. Patton listened. Third Army was ready. That's the victory, not the fame. Sometimes the most important people in history are the ones you've never heard of. Oscar Koch proved that from the shadows. Subscribe for more stories about the people history forgot, but who changed everything anyway, because the truth is always more interesting than the legend.